edition of our Skype shiur. Special thanks tonight to Meir Gabay for arranging the shiur and the technical issues with the shiur, making sure we're running smoothly on Skype. Thank you to him and also to Joanna Hari for arranging the shiur. We're now starting our fifth cycle of Parashat Shavua on Skype. We were running for 4 years. This is our 5th year. Baruch Hashem. And I'd like to dedicate the shiur Liloi Nishmat Rivka Bat Shaina. Baruch Hashem Tenechenu B'Gan Eden. Amen. And also I'd like to wish for Shlema for Gabriela Nomi Bat Leah Malka, and for Alisheva Bat Shel Bat Rivka, and for my mom Tikva Roshani Bat Rosette. כן לערפן עליהם ורפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף ורפואה קרובה לבוא. Okay, we're tonight studying Parashat Bereshit, beginning of the Torah, and we're starting the Torah again. And I just wanted to share with you, first of all, before we actually start Parashat, is Hakdama. What does it mean, Hakdama? Hakdama is an introduction or preface. So all the Rishonim have the introduction to the Torah. But there's something I wanted to say, just to bring from the Ramban. The Ramban has got a very interesting Hakdama to the Torah. And before he starts to write about the Torah, he says the following line. I'm going to start writing my chidushim to the Torah, the Ramban. This is what he said before he starts the Torah. Before I start, I just want to tell you that I'm coming now to write this chidush with fear and with trepidation and trembling and great awe. And I'm praying with my full heart in humility and broken soul, and I'm asking forgiveness, and I'm bowing down, and he says, I know that I am so small in my knowledge of Torah. If I explain to you who the Ramban was one of the greatest of the Rishonim, maybe the earliest great Kabbalist that he written down works from the time of the Rishonim, way more before the Arizal, was the Ramban. And he writes that I'm dead scared to write my Parashat the Torah. This is how he writes it.
He said that it's burning in his bones or burning in his soul. I read it, this Hakdama.
Oh, very good. So that's the next line. So he says, he compares himself. He says the distance between me and my knowledge of the great knowledge of Torah, however great it was. He says, like the eggs of an ant. He doesn't say an ant. How small is an ant? An ant can be tiny, but you can see an ant. The eggs of an ant is even more tinier, and you can't even see them, barely. And he says the difference between the size of an ant and the size of the whole world. He doesn't say the world. He says Hagalgal Ha'elyon. Hagal Elyon is the great planet, which is 170 times the planet Earth. Okay, so I don't know if you can imagine the magnitude and difference between the tiniest and humongous. He says that's the difference. That's even smaller than my small chokhmah and my short understanding compared to the Sifrei Torah. How much is hidden inside the Torah? Everything is deep. Everything is wide. Everything is hidden. It's unbelievable to realize. And he says, and then the next line, which Gilad mentioned, he says, but I'm still writing my pirush, even though I'm scared, and even though I only know a tiny little bit, an amount. But my heart is full of desire for the Torah. Nafshi chashka b'Torah v'hi belivi ke'esh ochelet wa'era. It's like a burning desire. I love the Torah. There's nothing more than I want the Torah. This is what I want. And what I want to take from this Ramban, and you see that the greatness of the Torah is so humongous and so great. But the Ramban himself, he said he was scared to write the Pirush on the Torah. And he writes it with trembling and with fear, and he asks Mechila, V'slicha, V'kapara. And even then, after all of that, he writes his Pirush, Ramban, and whatever he says, he brings proof for it. So why am I saying this as an introduction to the shiur? So many people study the Torah or the Bible, and there's a concept which is called the Bible critic. You know what the Bible critic is? What's a Bible critic? Bible critic is modern day a critic, people who study, they read the passage from the Bible, from the Torah, and then they give their opinion on it. Like someone reads a newspaper, gives his opinion on politics. Somebody's sitting down, he just had his food, his meal, and he's drinking his beer and eating his pizza, and then he says, I think this is pshat in the pasuk. This is what God meant when he wrote the Torah. And we just have to understand that you cannot do that. The Torah is not something which you just can just say come out from your belly, whatever you think. Oh, in my opinion, this is what the sin was of Adam Rishon. You see the Ramban, he was shaking and trembling, and also great apologies of Mechila before he wrote his Pirush. So how can we come along and say our own ideas? So the first thing is that we have to appreciate that if we want to say an idea.
I have a problem with it.
Oh, so Gilad, let's say Gilad's problem, and then we'll continue the issue. This is a very important point.
So it depends on the, if you're expressing your opinion as part of, first of all, not in a cynical way, not capicores. Like if you are in your journey to Chaker Emet, or try to understand, and you express an opinion, so why not, right? So it's all about critical thinking and about trying to connect the dots, finding other ways to connect the dots.
What do you mean, why not? Well, why yes? Should you do that? Should you give your own opinion about the Torah? Is that something good? You're saying why not? But why yes?
Between you and yourself, or if you can mislead other people, that's a problem. That's very dangerous.
Well, no. Let's say we're having a shiur Torah, and we're gonna start the shiur in a minute, but the main part of the shiur. But I'm gonna bring up pasuk, and I'm gonna ask you a question, and then I always ask people's opinions, right?
So we try to raise different ideas. We try to, just try to connect the dots. We try to understand,
Yeah, but why should we do that? Maybe we shouldn't do that. Should we do that, or should we not do that? So you're saying why not? I'm saying why yes.
As part of the studying process, you must. How can you not do that?
You must. Why? Can you bring a proof?
לא הביישן למד ולא הקפדן מלמד.
I'm agreeing with Gilad. That's not a proof. Go on, Meir.
No, but וידעת ושבות לבביך. You must know. ידעת. You must.
What must you know? You must know. You must know that you don't know. Is that what you're saying?
No, you must learn. You must learn. You must learn, and then.
Okay, so 1 second. Do you know what is the? So you're raising good points, Gilad. Let's get this clear. First of all, a person should try and understand the Torah as much as he can, to the depths that he can. And always, when we're discussing the shiur, I always ask different people's opinion. Why? Because it's important for the study of the Torah to make it your own. Does anyone know the first parak of Tehillim? Does anyone know off by heart? אשרי האיש אשר לא הלך. רוצה לשבת פה? Okay, someone wants to join the shiur. Okay, תגידי לילה טוב. לילה טוב. זהו. Okay, we'll come back after. Okay, sorry for that interruption. So we're up to this. So Gilad, we were discussing about should someone give his own opinion. So I said maybe you shouldn't give your own opinion. So that's not what I meant. So let me just get clear. The pasuk says in Tehillim, second pasuk in Tehillim, Ki im betorat Hashem chefzo. If his desire is in Torah Hashem, ובתורתו יהגה יומם ולילה. And in his Torah, he will toil and learn day and night. So in the beginning, he calls it Torah Hashem, and in the end, he calls it Torah Torah. Talking about Ashrei Ha'ish, the praised man, the man who is Lo Alach B'atzat Reshaim and Moshav Letim Lo Yashav. This man whose desires in the Torah of Hashem, then he should study Torah. So I remember the rabbis tell us, but in the beginning the pasuk says Torah Hashem, and the end of the pasuk it says Torah. It's his Torah, because after a person toils and tries to learn the Torah, it becomes his own. And everyone has a chelik in Torah. That's something we must know. Everyone has their own chelik in Torah, and that's why we always discuss things in the shul, and everyone gives their own opinion. However, even though somebody should give his own opinion and should think about it, a person has to put things into proportion. You just cannot say things, even though there's shivim panim la Torah, which means there are 70 different facets or different understanding of the Torah. But those are only 70 true pirushim to the Torah. It's not even a pirushim. There could be 300 pirushim. Yeah, much more than shivim. Could be. But shivim panim is 70 different facets of the Torah, to each different part of the Torah. But the false or the non-true pirushim to the Torah is endless. So if we want to be mechaven to the emet, which we should try to do, and make the Torah part of us, like Gilad said, everyone should try to do that. And why not? No, not just why not. It's good. You should do that. However, we have to remember first, like similar to what Meir said, and maybe this is what he meant, that we have to know what we are and put ourselves into proportion. You know, the humility of the Ramban, even though he was great, which beyond that we can imagine, and he actually writes in his let me say the Gemara one thing. I'll show you the Gemara. The Gemara says about Rabbi Elazar, the Rabbi Elazar the Great. Okay, he said when he on his deathbed, he said he took his two arms, and he's talking to Rabbi Akiva, and he says, "My two arms, shnei zorotai, they're like two scrolls of Sefer Torah." That's how he's talking about himself. Because my whole life I devoted to the study of the Torah. Harbe Torah lamadeti ve'harbe Torah limadeti. I taught a lot of Torah and I studied a lot of Torah. And he said, I didn't manage to learn from my teachers. Afilu kekelev hamelakek min hayam. What does that mean? Even like a dog who sips from the sea. Imagine you take a thirsty dog and he drinks and he drinks and he drinks from the sea until he's full up and he just passes out. Can't drink anymore. How much water has he taken from the sea? Not even one drop. So it says Rabbi Elazar, I managed to learn not even like a kelev hashotem min hayam. Hardly a drop from the sea I managed to learn from my teachers. And how much did I manage to pass over to my students? He says even a tiny drop of that. And he says it, afilu kimechol b'shfoferet. If you take a quill and you dip it in ink, how much ink comes out on the quill? So that's how much I managed to teach from what I know to the students. Like a drop of ink. And he says I know 300 halachot of baheret. One type of tzarat, one type of leprosy. He says there's 300 types of halachot which I know about it, and nobody has ever asked me about it. And he said not only that, I know there's 3,000 different halachot regarding nitiyat kishuin, which is referring to kishuf, which is sorcery. This is what Rabbi Elazar says in the Gemara Sanhedrin. And he says, no one's ever asked me about these halachot apart from one time. One time Rabbi Akiva, he asked me. And he said, teach me Maseh Kishuin. He says, I said one word and the whole field filled up with vegetables. And then he said to me, Rabbi, now you taught me how to plant, show me how to harvest. I said another word, and then all the vegetables got harvested and they all piled up nicely. אמרתי דבר אחד ונתקבצו כולם למקום אחד. And then all the different secrets that, and that was 1 out of 3,000. And the only person that asked me was Rabbi Akiva, which means he barely knew nothing compared to his teachers, and his students knew barely nothing compared to what he knew. And if a person knows how small he is and how great the Torah is, and he comes with approach with humility that I don't know anything in the Torah, but with whatever I know, this is my understanding of the Torah based on true Torah facts, and he brings proofs from different Rishonim or Gemarot or from Psukim, then of course he can say his idea if it makes logic. But if he comes up, lying on his couch, sitting, smoking a cigarette and drinking his wine and burping, and then he comes up with his chidush in Torah, so you can put that in the bin. That's not your chidush, that's rubbish. But if you come with humility and bring that back up to its sources of proofs, of course that's what you should do. That's the best thing that you should do. But it has to come with humility. Rashi al Torah, before he wrote his Pirush, he fasted. He fasted for a period of 3 years. Because he couldn't fast, he wanted to fast 365 days, and there's many days that you can't fast, including Shabbat, and including Chagim, and Rosh Chodesh, and different days. So it ended up being over 2.5 years. So this is the great Rashi. So when we want to say Pirush, we have to be very careful how we say it, and say respectfully, especially if we come to give a difference. But of course, whenever we do the shiur, we always have a discussion to open up, because everyone has their chelek in Torah, and everyone can be mechaber. And in fact, I want to say, some of the greatest chidushim has happened through the Skype share with the participation from Gilad and from Meir and also from Ma'or, the regular members. It was unbelievable. I remember one time I asked a question. Ma'or said a beautiful chidush, which is not what I wanted to say. And in the end, I saw it as a different Rishon in the Ran, and the Shulchan Aruch brings that pirush like what Ma'or said, which was beautiful. And Ma'or didn't see that inside, but he thought about it, and he was mechav into it. And once there is a chidush in the world, any Jewish neshama, if it genuinely comes on, can get onto it. So that's the opening of the shiur. But we have to appreciate how big and how great the depth is of the Torah. Even when there's I can't remember who it was. He said that there's 2 words in the Torah, Vayavo Banegba, and he came from the south. And on that 2 words, Vayavo Banegba, was 3,600 pirushim. 3,600 pirushim on the words Vayavo Banegba. And I can't think of only one pirush, which means, and he came from the south. What else can you learn from these 2 words, Vayavo Banegba? But if you appreciate the depth of the Torah and how it's the infinite wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then you can be more humble about your approach to the Torah. It's not something like politics or sport. You can make your opinion, who you think is going to win, what you think is going to happen, why it's happening, your own theories. No. You appreciate it's something which is kadosh, which is divine, which is holy, which is masoret. You come with humility. Then the best thing you can do is to make a chidush. And if you do that, you can be mechaber to the truth of the Torah. I mentioned a Gemara in Sukkah. It's one of my favorite Gemarot. Talks about the Talmidim of Hillel. Said 80 Talmidim ayu leHillel hazaken. Hillel had 80 different Talmidim. 80. And he says 30 מהם רואים שתשרה עליהם השכינה. 30 of them, they're worthy that the Shekhinah, the presence of God rests on them. Like Moshe Rabbeinu. This is what the Gemara says about the Talmidim of Hillel hazaken. One second. He says 30 of them are worthy that that they stop the sun like Yeshua ben Nun. These are the Talmidim of Hillel. Not talking about Hillel himself, but his Talmidim. 80 of them. 30 are great, like they can have the presence of God resting on them like Moshe Rabbeinu. 30 of them can stop the sun in the middle of the day like Yeshua ben Nun. And then there's 20 Benonim. He calls them 20 in the middle. 30, you got 20 left. 20 of them, the greatest one of them was Yonatan ben Uziel. He was buried in Amukah. Katan Shebekulan, the smallest of them was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And then the Gemara says, how small was this small one? The smallest one of these, which was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The Gemara says about him, he studied everything. Mikra, all the Torah. 5 books of the Torah, the 24 books of the Navi, he studied all of them. Mishnah, 63 books of the Mishnah, he studied all of them. Gemara, Halachot, Agadot, Dikdukei Torah, Dikdukei Sofrim, Kalim v'Chamurim, Gezerot Shavot v'Tkufot. He studied Gematriot, he studied Zeichot Malachi HaSharet. which means the conversations of the angels. Besichot shedim, and the conversations of the demons. Besichot dekalim, and the language of the trees. When the wind blows in the trees, they shake and they make a sound. That sound is a language. That language, Rabbi Yochanan Zechayim, Mashalot kofsin u'mashalot shualim. Davar gadol, davar katan. What does it mean, davar gadol, davar katan? The Gemara says, davar gadol, maaseh merkava. Maaseh merkava is the God's throne. His creation, how He's created them through the world, where His presence rests in Shamayim. Maaseh merkava. Where's God's throne in heaven? Davar katan is the Gemara Havayot Abaye and Rava. This is the smallest one of the Talmidim of Hillel HaZaken. How great was he? How many people do you think that they know the language of the angels? And he was the smallest one. The Gemara says, what about the biggest one? The biggest one, Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel, when he used to study Torah, a bird used to fly over his head, and the bird used to get burnt up, just from the Kedusha of Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel. So you see, we're talking about these great people, and they have the Gemara, and then you want to come and say your opinion. So where does your opinion come from? So it has to be very genuine, that you're really thinking about the truth. Like Gilad said, if you believe this is the truth, without any personal agenda involved, of your own opinion, and you think it's based on Torah knowledge and Torah background, then of course you should say opinion, and it's good to say and Ashrecha if you mechaven to the emet, but it has to be done again. 2 minutes, just a second. So, okay, I apologize for the interruption. My children just come back out of schedule. Okay, so I want to start with the Parasha, Bereshit. If you've got a Chumash in front of you. So I want to study very important creation. God created in the world. What was God's greatest creation?
Us,
men. Human beings. Human beings is God's greatest creation. And how do I know that? Why do you say that, Mo?
Hashem created the world for us, no? Jewish people. Not just people, Jewish people.
For Jewish people, yeah, exactly. That is the truth. So I want to go into a study of the opinion. So God created man, and also God created also woman, and God created the concept of marriage. That is what God created, and it's very important for all of us to study marriage, even those who are married, and all of those who are married as well. They should be married, B'ezrat Hashem. But to understand why did Hashem make it like that? Why did Hashem create a person single, and then get him to get married? Well, why did Hashem want to do that? Let's just see this.
To give us free will.
Oh, thank you, Shrago. What do you mean free will? He gave us free will?
Choice,
and he gave us a free will and choice, and we can choose who to get married to. That's what you mean?
Well, free will means
marriage.
that
It's all about the tikkun, no? Sorry.
So the Torah the halachic compilation of the Torah, which is the Shulchan Aruch is based on, says in Siman Aleph of Even HaEzer, Yitbarach Shemo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chafetz B'tov. He wants for the goodness creations. Okay, well, let me start the other way around. If you open up your Chumash, let's look at Pasuk, Perek Bet, Pasuk Yudchet. And we go to the Chumash. I'm going to read out for you. Vayomar Hashem Elokim. And God, the Lord said, it's not good for man to be on his own. I'm going to make somebody to be a partner, Ezer Kenegdo, which means is going to have aid, or Ezer is going to be a woman, she's going to be able to help. That's Ezer Kenegdo. So what do you think it means?
Well, is that for just then, or is that for all generations?
Again, what do you say?
Is that just for Adam and Chava, or is that for all generations?
Oh, no, very good question.
Because I'm single. I'm still looking.
So please, God, you should find your shidduch and the right one for you, Bezat Hashem, for you, sure. So it's very good you asked that question. Does it mean that was specifically for Adam himself not to be alone? Or was it? So I tell you that I'll answer you like this, Shraga. No, I like the way how you put it because I never thought of it like that. And it's a very clever way of asking the question. And I think the answer depends on the interpretation of the pasuk. Okay, because you can interpret the pasuk going specifically on Adam Arishon, or you can interpret it that it's going on all generations. And in fact, in Rashi, so if you have Rashi, very good Shraga, very good question. So Rashi seems to be explaining the pasuk referring to Adam Arishon himself. And if you look at Rashi, look what Rashi says. I never understood the pasuk like this. I always assumed that means always. A man is not good for him to be single. He needs to be married. That's how I understood it, and that's how the Torah says it. That God said a man, a Jewish person, shouldn't be single. He needs to marry somebody. Why? In order to procreate, to have a family, to have children, and he can't do it on his own. And that's a mitzvah to fulfill. Please God, you should be able to fulfill it. It's a mitzvah to have children, to create children. And that's what the pasuk is according to the Torah. However, Rashi has a different approach, like what Shraga Farabud said. And he says going specifically on Adam Arishon. And if you look in context of this passage, it makes sense. Because after the commandment not to eat from the tree, then this pasuk comes along. It says, "Vayikach Hashem Elokim et Adam." He took man and he put him in the Garden of Eden. "Vayitzav Hashem Elokim el Adam lemor mikol etz hagan ochol tochal." You can eat from any tree. U'me'etz hadat hatov v'ra lo tochal mimenu ki biyom ochalcha mimenu mot tamut. If you eat from the tree, and then the pasuk says, "Vayom Hashem ki lo tov v'yot Adam levado." It's not good for a person to be on his own. And Rashi says, you know why it's not good for him to be on his own? Who's it not good for? Is it not good for him? Or it's not good for other people? Or for other things? So that no one should say, there's two beings. One is in the heavens, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's alone, he's the greatest being in the heavens, and there's no one like him. And this one who's man, he's in the lower world, and he doesn't have a partner. That means he's the greatest, maybe he's the God, like a power creator. And that's why he says, that's why Hashem said, I'm going to create for him as I can do. So it's a totally different approach to understanding. And if we're learning it like this, then this pasuk has got nothing to do with marriage. Like what Shraga said, it's got to do only with the Adam Arishon. And Hashem didn't want to make Adam make himself a deity that he was alone. in the world. So he made him as a kenegdo, or he made him a wife. But if we're going with the approach of the Torah, and this is really I want to talk about this shiur today, what can we learn from this regarding marriage? That's not good for a person to be on his own. So why is it not good for a person to be on? So the Torah says because he needs to have a wife to get married. Just excuse me for a second. Okay. So I'm going to start with a question. Why did God make the it seems to be for Gava reasons. What you're saying about Adam Arishon. Yeah, so that's what it looks like over here. They shouldn't think that he's the greatest, but it says Shelo Yomu, which means like that no one else. I don't know who else was in the world. Maybe he's referring to animals or Shedim, or I don't know, maybe Gava, like you're saying. That he just shouldn't think himself is so great. But if we're going with other opinion of the tool, and then it's referring to marriage, that every man shouldn't be on his own. So why is it not good? Sorry? That mentions say about themselves that they're so great. You mean you always need your wife to put you down and saying that you're not so great, they have so much love? But are you talking about that in marriage? Your wife always points out your faults and puts you down a little bit, so you don't get to. What do you mean? Mm-hmm.
Also, Rabbi, I think like when Hashem created the world, Hashem created like opposites. So he created Or and Choshech and Yam and Yabasha and Zachar and Nekeva.
Okay, so Zachar and Nekeva. So let me ask you a question. What did God create man, Zachar and Nekeva?
So, as I recall, there were two parts of him.
Two parts of him. Oh, so what is the pasuk? So let's go back to see the pasuk, okay? Do you know what? Maybe let's ask a different question. So the question we want to answer now, which we're asking, is the question of the Ravad. Ravad said, why did God create the man and woman together, and then he separated them? And all the other animals, he created them male and female. So if we look at it, God created them Zachar and Nekeva. But if you look at the creation of man, creation of man was created as one being. 1 second. Yeah. It says, ויפל השם אלוקים תרדמה על האדם, וישן, he fell asleep. ויקח אחד מצלעותיו, he took one of his ribs, ויסגור בשר תחתנה, and he closed it. And ויבן השם אלוקים את הצלע אשר לקח מן האדם לאישה. He created that into a woman and then he born it. That means man and woman was created as one being, and then God separated them. Now that's weird, no? It's like God originally wanted it to be one being, and then he separated it into two. Okay, so we're just going to digress a little bit and to the next parasha in the Torah. What was the parasha of Adam Arishon? What was the first man's sin? What was his sin? Can't help me here, please. What was the first sin of Adam Arishon? They ate from Etzadat. What made them eat from Etzadat?
Aisha.
Aisha. What made the Aisha eat from Etzadat?
Nachash.
Nachash. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Why did the Nachash want Chava to eat from the tree? If you want to eat from the tree, eat from the tree. You don't want, don't eat. Why are you making someone else eat? Why did Nachash have an agenda that he wants Chava to eat from the tree?
To separate them?
Mind your own business. Gone? Gilad, gone?
To separate them. I think that you mentioned it in the past.
To separate them. We mentioned it in the past. Okay. So where do we mention it? So let's see. I think it's right. Oh. So that was I think if it was Rashi who says that or not. So Rashi says, yeah. So then if you go Rashi pasuk, והנחש היה ערום. מה העניין לכאן? ללמדך מאיזה עצה קפץ הנחש עליהם. Why did the Nachash get involved? So it says that the Nachash saw them together, and he wanted Chava. He was jealous and he wanted Chava for himself. That's what Rashi says based on the Midrash Rabbah. Okay, Rashi didn't make it up, he got it from the Midrash. So I'm going to present to you, gentlemen, the following question. The snake's idea was to get Chava. So what was his plan? He had a plan. He said, listen, I'm going to convince the woman. The woman is going to be a good wife and offer her husband first before she eats. Adam Arishon is going to eat from the fruit. And then he'll die, and then I'll be alone with Chava. That was his great plan. Nachash. Deceiving and cunning, and Rashi tells us that. Rashi says clearly, he thought that she was going to give him first, and then he would die. That was his plan. So my question is to you, obviously it would be more difficult to convince Adam Arishon than to convince Chava. What was the snake's jealous of? He wanted a wife, he wanted to get married. That wasn't obviously it, because when God created all the creatures, he created them male and female. So just like he created a Mr. Snake, he also created a Mrs. Snake. So he already had his own wife. So if he had his own wife, why would he want someone else's wife? Especially that, different shapes. A snake doesn't really go with a human. It's really awkward. It's better to have someone of your own kind. You don't see that animals intermarrying with different mammals. So what was the snake jealous of?
But the snake became a snake as we know it only after the punishment he received from Hashem, no?
The punishment was from Hashem.
It wasn't like men-like at the time of the Chet?
Yes. He walked on over. Nachon. But even still, so he had legs. He had legs and they made him go on. That was Nachash. But do you agree with me
wanted the Kedusha.
Oh, so very good. So you agree with me that obviously it wasn't a physical jealousy, that physical attraction that he wanted Chava. Obviously it was for something else. And he saw something more deeper. He saw something with the connection between them that was deeper beyond the beauty of the skin of Chava. So this comes back to the Ravad. The Ravad says, you know why they were created together? All of the other animals were created Zachar v'Nekeva. But here, man was created as one and then separated into two. Why did God do that? Why did God do that? God did that. Can you mute me? Can you mute that? Thank you. So God wanted that there's a connection, a deep connection between them, that they are one, that they're one being. If we would have created them separately, we take things and trying to join them together, so how it's going to be just a physical connection. But if it's one which is separated and then reunited as one, then the bond between them is much more stronger. And here, God wanted man and woman to have a connection, not only physically, but also spiritually and emotionally, as well as physically. There's a mental and emotional and spiritual connection between them. And when the Nachash saw Adam and Chava together, he realized they had something special which none of the other animals had. He realized that they had the bonded together. He realized that they had something much deeper between them. And it wasn't only that, the body, it was belev, it was benefesh. And you see, a man, okay, he can go, you want to be with so that explains the Nachash, and that's why it explains that they were separate. God, when he created man originally, so there's part of godliness inside of man, and it's man and woman together which create one man. So here you see the image to be married, and we see that also in the pasuk of Yutet. Let me just get a pasuk. Yeah, the pasuk says Al-Kain. After God created woman, what's the next pasuk which he says? Al-Kain ya'azov ish et aviv ben imo v'davak be'ishto v'hayu lebasar echad. And here you see this is clearly talking about marriage for the future generations. A man needs to leave his mom and his dad and go and be davuk be'ishto v'hayu lebasar echad. What means v'hayu lebasar echad? There should be one person. That means man and wife, you're sharing your whole life together. It's not just you're living together. You know, a person could live with a woman and eat together and live in the same house, in the same bank account, and live separate lives. That's not what marriage is about. Marriage is a union on a much deeper level than just physical. That means the whole day of your whole lives, wherever you are, you should always be thinking about one another. That means the man is thinking about a woman, the woman is thinking about a man. It's a companion for life, for everything. When we say lo tov yot levado, it's not good for a person, but it's also not good for his growth, spiritual sense, in the growth in Torah, but also to grow in other areas. If he has a partner with him, to share his life with him. And that is what it means lo tov yot levado, according to this approach. And let me give you an example first. We see in the bracha b'Birkat Hamazon, we say, Al britcha shechatamta b'bsarenu. We thank Hashem on Nodeh Lacha Hashem Lakenu b'Al britcha shechatamta b'bsarenu, that God put on our flesh a seal of a covenant, which was the Brit Milah, which was the circumcision. On our flesh, we've got the contract, the Brit Kodesh on our flesh, and this is what we say in Birkat Hamazon. Now, only males have that. So how can a woman make this bracha? So the Mishnah Berurah says a woman and a man is really one body, and that's why a woman can also say, even though she doesn't have a body, but just like they're two bodies, but they are one being with two separate bodies. That's how he called it. That's the Mishnah Berurah says halacha. And that's what a man is. A man before he's married is not complete. He's just looking for his other half. And that's how we call it. But literally, that's what it means. It's your other half. And what do I want to say? Rabbi Victor Miller, one of my favorite great Rabbanim, he said this line. And in his opinion, he said that every Jewish person, a Jewish man, he says that the image of a Jewish person is to have a beard. That's what he called it. It's always his opinion. It's not halakha, you're allowed to shave, but he said a good Jewish man, he should have a beard. That is, he called it tzura vayid, which means the image of a Jewish person should have a beard. So one time a Bachur Yeshiva asked, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is the next part. One time a Bachur Yeshiva said to Rabbi Miller, I want to grow a beard. He said, no, you shouldn't grow a beard. He said, why not? You said that tzura of a yid, the image of a Jewish man should have a beard. He said, yeah. But the tzura of a man, of a Jewish man, is to be married. And you're not married yet. You're a bachur. So while you're a bachur, you shave. Once you're married, that's the time for a beard. That was his opinion. But I'm just bringing that as an example to see that is what the purpose of marriage is. That's how God wanted a man to live. God wanted a man to live his married life. Why is that? So one reason we've given is because to procreate and to be fruitful. And we explained that a person needs to find his partner, but the part of marriage is to be more deep and to be more connected on an emotional level and on a spiritual level, and help them to grow in that way. And they're supposed to help to look after each other. Well, there's something else which is a bit more deeper though. The Gemara says, Ish ve'isha shezachu, shechina shruya benehem. What does that mean? That means that the... Have I lost you? Hello?
It's fine. Rabbi.
Continue?
Yes, please.
My screen is frozen for some reason. Shall I just continue?
We can see you normal.
Okay, very good. So the Ramban says like this, that the person should really pray that he has this connection with his wife. And in fact, it was known about the Baba Sali when it was one time when everyone went to, I don't remember if it was the night of like Ba'omer or one of the other nights where everyone went to Meron to pray. And he stayed at home and had a cup of tea with his wife. And someone asked him, Rebbe, why you don't want to come with us to Meron? We're going to pray there. He says, listen, I'm here with my wife. I'm here to make her happy. And he said, in the Beit HaMikdash, on the Mishkan, there was two Kruvim. The Kruvim was a face of a man and a woman. And when they were together, that is where the Shekhinah rests. When you do something to make your wife happy, and there's a union between man and woman, that's Kedusha. That's Chuppah. That's the most elevated level of Judaism. When we bring a man and woman to a chuppah, that's the greatest thing. And this is contrary to other religions. We don't believe in celibacy. We don't believe that a person should be on his own to serve God his whole life. That's not what man should be married, have a woman, and take her and get married in a good way, in a good place of kedusha. And if a person does that properly, can bring the greatest kedusha. Now, why is that? How does get married bring kedusha? And what is really the concept of love? And here I want to go something a little bit deeper, and I want to share this with you. And this is a beautiful piece. And I got this from Rabbi Aaron Feldman, based on Gaon Mivilna, in his book on marriage, which is called The River, the Kettle, and the Bird. And I recommend it to any person who's married or to understand the fundamentals of marriage. Really like that. What's the creation of man? And what does God want from us in a marriage? What's the point of getting married? So let's put it like, when God created man, let's look at the first pasuk which he says. Man created on the sixth day, right? Man is created in the image of God. Let me get it. So, right? So I'm just looking for the pasuk. I can't find it right now. The pasuk says, "Vayipach ba'apav ruach Elokim." That means he blew into man ruach Elokim, which means God blew into man part of himself. That means every person is walking around with part of God that's inside him. In the image of God, he was created. So why did God do that? He didn't create any of the other animals in the image of God. So what does that mean, and what is it for? Okay, I can't find the pasuk, but it says it somewhere. I can find it. That's what it means. So why did God do that? So there's part of you which is God-like, and you're supposed to be like God in some way. Now, God is a person who's God. Sorry, it's not a person. God is a giver. God wants you to be a giver. Imagine when you blow into a balloon. So the air which you blow is from you, and that air is inside the balloon. So inside the balloon is part of you, or the air that came out. So when God blows into you, part of God is with you. Does that make sense? So if you're a part of God, you're supposed to be like God. And that's why one of the reasons Adam is called Adam. One reason because it comes from the Adama. And one reason because Adam el-Elyon. He should be like God. How are you supposed to be like him? So the ideal is here, God is a giver. God is someone who's mashpia. And he gives continuously to all of us, to everything. The creator didn't just create the world, he's continuously creating the world. And just like he's giving every moment and every second, he wants us to be givers. How can you be a giver? How can you be a giver? So you give. When you give to others, it gives you a feeling of happiness and it gives you a sense of love. And that is the famous Kuntra Chesed of Rav Desta. He said, when you give to something, you love it. What does that mean? You build something, you make it, it's yours. You want it. And when you give to your children, this is one of the biggest reasons why you love your children, because you constantly give to them. So when you're a giver, that's when you become like God, and that's what makes you happy and fulfilled, because that's really what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be giving. Someone is taking all the time, you feel bad taking. Why do you feel bad? Why do you feel bad? Someone gives you a present, someone helps you out. You feel bad. Why do you feel bad? Why do you feel bad when someone gives you so much? No, maybe you don't feel bad. Do you feel bad? Is anybody with me?
Rabbi, can you repeat the last, like, about feeling bad?
Yes. When someone gives you continuously, somebody comes and he gives you food or gives you money or he gives you his time, he works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel bad when you take a lot from him? When you're a taker and not a giver? Do you feel bad when you're taking from other people without giving them anything back? When you get a present, do you feel bad?
I think like it's much better feeling giving than receiving.
Of course. So that's what we're talking about. Why do you make you feel bad when you receive?
I
That's
don't
not
know,
what
like
go on.
no, like if someone gives you something you don't feel bad, why would you
No.
feel bad?
Well, you haven't given him to him anything. If somebody offered you money or someone gave you food or
But
somebody
yeah,
helped you, you didn't feel bad. You want to give something back. Someone invites you for a meal. You want to bring them flowers or a bottle of wine. Why?
to show your appreciation.
Show your appreciation. Okay. Now, if they don't take anything, you feel bad. If they're always inviting you or they always give you, someone always gives you a lift every day, or someone always they come to your house and clean your house, or someone's giving you so much. And
Yeah,
it's
it
not your
depends. I think, like, sorry, Rob, I think it really depends on the circumstances. But some people, let's say,
that's
you feel like you're obliged, you need to give something back, and some people you really want to give them back.
right. So a person naturally feels good when he's giving. When you're giving, you feel good. When you help out other people and you do a chesed, right? Not when they take from you, but when you genuinely give because you want to give, not because when they ask you and you feel like they're taking from you. But when you actually want to give something genuinely, it's the greatest feeling that there is. When you're giving to somebody, why is that such a good feeling? Because you are like God at that moment. When you give to other people, you are like God. Even if you're giving a compliment, you're like God. Whether you're giving charity or if you're giving help to somebody or you just help to carry something, when you're giving, that is when you're acting like God. When you're receiving, that's the opposite. That's the opposite of why you're created. Of course, you're going to feel bad. You feel guilty for it. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Does anyone disagree with me? Gilad?
I think again, it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, so now, of course, sometimes you need to take, and taking is sometimes also giving when it's receiving. When you see somebody really wants to give you, you invited someone for a meal and they want to give you something, small box of chocolate, say, no, I'm not taking anything. So you're just making them feel bad. So give them a good feeling. Say thank you very much for what they've given you. And then you've given something, you've given them a good feeling. You've taken something small, but you've given something big. So that's called receiving, and it's really giving. I'm talking about the general concept. Do you agree with me, the general concept? That someone who's always receiving, you feel bad, then you feel guilty, and you feel negative. And someone who's a giver, and a giver, he's a happy person. He's a loving person. He's a person who he's always feeling good because he's a giver. Does that make sense? Gilad, do you agree with me or disagree with me?
Yeah, there is a phrase, no? יותר משהעשיר עושה עם העני, העני עושה עם העשיר.
Why? Because he's giving him that.
Yeah, because it's given. So the ani maybe receive money, which is a physical thing, but the ashir receive like the spiritual enjoyment, or like the like you're saying, like being a giver, so closer to Hashem.
So that's a new interpretation of the Gemara. I agree with that interpretation, but the literal interpretation of the Gemara is that the ani gives to the ashir in Olam Haba because he's given him a great mitzvah, which is eternal. Whereas what the ashir is given to the ani is monetary, which will run out eventually, however much money is given him, but it's limited. But the reward that the ashir gets is endless. But you give me another interpretation that they give. So let's go back to the Parasha. If we agree with me, is Gilad still with us?
Yeah.
Do you agree with me?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, thank you. So we've got let's come off Gilad. So we'll continue now. So if we're saying that concept, giving is what you're created for, and that's what you want to be giving. So therefore we can understand that the concept of marriage. Now, what in a marriage is all about giving. Okay, so there's a non-Jewish song that marriage is all about give and take. Yeah, that's not the Jewish approach. The Jewish approach is about giving and receiving. There's a lot of receiving, and it's a great feeling of receiving and goodness. But the main thing is that you're supposed to be giving. Now let me ask you, this is a question he writes us in the book. If God wants us to be a giver, and giving makes us feel good, and when we give to our children, we give them, what's the word? We give them unlimited and unconditional, which means we give them without wanting to get anything in return, and we feel great about it. And the more we give, the more we love. And because when we're giving part of ourselves, and we love ourselves. And the more we give to the child, we are in the child. And the same thing is with a wife. The more we give to a wife, the more we love the wife. The more the wife is part of us, the more we give. And that also makes us love. So you ask the question like this: why do you need to be married to give? I'll open up an organization and I'll feed poor people, or I'll open up a charity and I'll help children, or help sick people, or help poor people. I can do that. Why do I need to be married to be a giver? That is the question that he asks in the book. Does that make sense, the question?
It's the best training ground. Now it's the best school. Like being married, this is what you put you in all the nisyonot that you need to become, like to fulfill the Torah and mitzvot.
Right, but he's saying if the whole purpose of man is to be giving, like God, he provides for billions of people around the world. Okay, he's a kindness, he provides them with food, provides them with health, provides them with whatever they need all over the world. And we're supposed to act in our lives like God to be giving. So I'm saying that's the concept of marriage, that you're giving. So why do you have to be married to be a giver? Let's open up a charity, and I'll be dedicated to the charity, and that's what I'll do that. So why does Judaism?
If you think of ואהבת לרעך כמוך and the fact that you need to give, it's we talk about marriage. It's not about giving charity. You give everything. It's
so very good. So it's good you brought up that pasuk. ואהבת לרעך כמוך is you're supposed to love your friend, fellow Jew, exactly as yourself. That's the literal translation. Now it means in the Gemara, what you hate for yourself, don't do for other people. That means you wouldn't want someone to hang up on you in the middle of a phone call, don't do it to other people. But the one way you can fulfill it literally is with your wife. Whether you want to buy yourself shoes, you buy your wife shoes. You want to be respected and to be heard, you respect your wife and you listen to your wife. You want to be complimented, you compliment your wife. So, like Gilad said, the best way to fulfill V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha to the highest level is with your wife. So obviously then you'll need a wife to fulfill that. And that sense of giving is endless. So that's a very good answer to the question. But I'm going to propose another answer to the question. And this is very important to realize. When God gives, okay, does God give you even when he's upset with you?
Of course.
Of course.
That's why
Can
we're
be
alive.
Bechalel Shabbat. That's exactly that's why we're alive. Otherwise we wouldn't last very long.
Yeah.
But God gives us, even when we do Averot, and even when he doesn't feel like giving to us, he gives us. That's why we need to get married. If someone opens up a charity, okay, so then if he wants to take a day off, he takes a day off. He wants to leave work early, he'll work early. He wants to take a 2-week holiday, he takes a 2-week holiday. In marriage, there's no 2-week holidays. You're always married. You're always giving. It's continuously giving. Even if there's upset with you, you're upset with your wife, or you're upset with her. It's a continuously period of giving. You have to overcome yourself and become like God and give. Even if you asked her to do 5 things and she didn't do anything, those 5 things. And what you asked her not to do, she did that. So she upset you on every level. Doesn't matter. You're still giving. And that is what this marriage is about. And when you have children, so the giving gets even greater, because now instead of giving to one person, you give to 2 people, or 3, or whatever you're blessed with. And when you give to a child, giving to a child is 24/7. There's no holidays. You're always a dad. And even if the child has left the country in a different place, but you're always thinking about him. What does he need? Does he need to eat? Does he have enough money? Does he have enough things? You're always thinking about him, worried about him. That is what God wanted it to be. So now you can only do that if you feel that that's part of you. So God created man together. And it says, they need to be like one being. Connected. And when they're connected, that's when you can continue to speak it. Maybe, and a child is also part of you because it comes from you. So you feel like you're giving to yourself, and you're also after that. But that is really the main purpose of marriage. To always to be giving on any account, take away from yourself. Let me just ask you the following question. It says, "Kasher zivuglo."
מה? הכיפה?
קשה זיווגו של אדם. You don't remember the Gemara? קשה זיווגו של אדם.
קריאת ים סוף.
כקריאת ים סוף. So I'm going to share with you, this is a beautiful question, and I'm going to end off the show with this. Why does the Gemara say it's difficult like Kriyat Yam Suf? Now, obviously, who's it difficult for? I mean, God split the sea and God makes marriages, so it's difficult. What does that mean? What does it really mean? But for Hashem, it's the same. And it says, Kasher panasato shel adam ki kriyat yam suf. So it's difficult for us, and it's difficult for us to find a marriage. And anyone who's looking for a marriage partner knows how hard it is to find one. But why is it compared to the splitting of the sea? And the question is, like, so I heard this from my good friend Shmuel El-Harar. He told me his father the question, and the answer is beautiful. But just let me show you.
So it's because it's against nature. If you think about it, you go against nature, and to keep. But what does it mean, Kriyat Yam Suf? It's not only Kriyat Yam Suf, it's also to keep the walls standing, to keep the walls separated, and which is against nature, which is very much about marriage. The same, it applies. So we are egoistic by nature, right? And when you're married, you cannot be egoistic. So actually, it's you need to love your rea as they want, not as you think they want. So it's like it's hard work.
Yeah.
Not to be egoistic.
Not only you can't be egoistic, but whoever is egoistic and wants marriage for himself, for his own desires, he will stop enjoying marriage immediately. And maybe that's why the divorce rate is so high, because people want to get married for their own personal pleasure. And when they don't get that pleasure, then they say, why should I be married anymore? But if you're coming into the marriage saying, I'm getting married to be like God to give to another human being, then the purpose of marriage changes and your pleasure for marriage changes. But it's a beautiful answer. And I really like the answer that you gave. Are we still connected? Have I lost connection?
I'm connected.
No, Rabbi.
We're still good? Okay, so let's go. So let me just explain the question. He asked like this. He said, if we want to describe marriage, compare it to something. So why do we compare it to the splitting of the sea? Splitting of the sea is the division of the water, when the waters divide. Let's compare it to something which is combined. For example, like the heavens. What was the heavens created from? Oseh shalom b'mromav. God makes peace in the heavens. What is it to make peace from? So Gemara says, why is it called Shamayim? Shamayim because it has Esh and Mayim, fire and water. Fire and water don't coexist. Fire evaporates water, and water puts out fire. So for fire and water to exist together, you need the miracle. So Shamayim. Shamayim is a combination of Esh and Mayim, is the heavens, and that's what it means. Oseh shalom b'mromav. It makes peace in the heavens. What's peace in the heavens? There's no fighting there. There's fighting between fire and water. So let's say marriage is difficult, like joining together fire and water. Is the joining of two things. Or, for example, the barad. He says the barad is also the same thing. What was the barad? The hailstones in the plague of hail, of the plague, Makah barad, was rocks of ice. Rocks of ice with balls of fire. And the ice still was there, and the fire was there. And so you've got the joining of two things, which is opposites, and they join together. So let's compare the matching of a shidduch, of man and woman, like the joining of these two things of the barad. Why do we compare it to the separating of the sea, where the water separates? Does everyone appreciate the question?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Is it?
Are you appreciate the question? Mo, do you like the question?
Yeah. I'm thinking like if it's got something to do like the Torah is meshula kemaim. It's got something to do like because we know like if Ish and Isha when they're together, so Shechina shoret sham as and if they are separated, so Shechina is not sham. So if the Kriyat Yam Suf, if you think about the separation, it's like in a way you kind of like break the connection between you and Hashem. So you and the Torah. Like the Torah, it's like your way to be close to Hashem, and the same is like marriage.
Okay.
So maybe I got it a bit over.
Go on. Did you explain yourself more, man? What do you mean? Yeah, but God split the sea. God split the sea, and God joined the things. We're asking why we're comparing it to something that splits and not something that joins. Okay, so Jean jumped in, but again, we're comparing it to the splitting of the sea. So the question is, why do we compare it to something that splits and not something that joins? That's the question. We should compare it to something else that joins together. So man created something and then God joined it together. That's the question. Why are we comparing it to something that splits the sea and not something that joins? You want to compare marriage to two people joining, no? Two people join. So why are we comparing something that splits? Compare something that joins.
Oh, we're not looking at the right things when we talk. We think about.
Explain.
So you describe Kriyat Yam Suf as separation of the sea, but maybe there are other elements there that we can talk about. About, I don't know, for example, if you think of helping the weak or
helping them.
I don't know. There are many different aspects of it. There are many different ways of looking at Kriyat Yam Suf, right? Of the chesed of Alchu Bayabasha. Yeah, they walked on dry land, even though. So there are many different ways of looking, or many So I'm not sure that we're not. Maybe there is a deeper or a different angle to look at it. What is Kriyat Yam Suf?
Okay, so I'll tell you what he said. It's a beautiful message what he said. And the Gemara's Lashon is Kriyat Yam Suf, like the splitting of the sea. Not like other elements or like Nachshon or the Chesed in the sea. That's the Lashon of the Gemara. It could be that it's also true what you're saying and other things. And I like what you said, Gilad, before about maintaining marriage and keeping it still. And that's also a true concept. But here is just explaining the comparison between the splitting of the sea. And he said that, so first of all, if we refer back to what we said before in the earlier of the shiur, that it's not joining two opposites. It's reuniting something that was already split. We were already one with our wives, and now we're rejoining. It's two parts. So first of all, it makes more sense that the sea, of the sea that was once together and it's split, and now we're rejoining it. But why do we call it something which is splitting and not something which joins? So he had this beautiful idea. He said you have 1 + 1 equals. What's 1 + 1?
Well, 2.
2.
2, exactly. 1 + 1 is 2. So how can you have 1 + 1 which equals 1? How can you have that? You can't have that. 1 + 1 never equals 1. So how do you make a man and a woman equal 1? And he said it beautifully. I'll try to say it like this if I can. He said you have two people coming from two different backgrounds. Okay, now even if I'm not talking about if one is European and one is Israeli or one is Sephardi, one is Ashkenazi, but even if two people they're both Moroccan, English, let's say, and they grew up in the same neighborhood, but each one grew up in a different house. Each one has different ways of doing things, different understandings, different ways they're used to doing things, maybe different ways of understanding things. So everyone has their own differences, and everyone grew up differently. And grew up with the things that they like doing. Now, when they come to join a marriage, you have someone else there, and you have to make them happy as well as making yourself. Some things which make you happy didn't make your wife happy. Okay, just for example, you like the window open, she likes it closed, or the opposite, or something like that. So the only way you're going to be able to get on with her, or she to get on with you, is everyone's got to leave her back a bit of baggage. If you bring everything that you grew up with into your marriage, then there's not going to be room for the other person. To make room for the other person, you have to leave a little bit behind. You have to leave a bit behind and take away from yourself. And then you can rejoin to the other person. That's why you have to split. You have to split a bit. So if you bring half of yourself into the marriage, and she brings half of herself, then you've got half and half equals 1. But if you want to bring everything that you've got and you want everything your way, you're not going to get anywhere. And look at the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Al ken ya'azov ish et aviv et imo." Why did the pasuk say that? You have to leave your mom and your dad. What does it mean, leave your mom and your dad? It means you have to leave some of what you got from your mom and dad behind. V'davak beishto. You're supposed to join to your one. V'hayu lebasar echad. You're supposed to be one. That's what it's meant to be. So I said we're comparing it to splitting of the sea, because you say, you have to split. You say, she's not exactly my type. She's not exactly my thing. She's not like, yeah, she's different, but that's good. Leave a little bit of yourself behind, and you can have a beautiful marriage. And it's not of someone who's getting married, but even once you're already married, or mainly once you're married, this is Shalom Bayit. Don't take everything your way. Some things, okay, let it go. Okay, but this is how I've always done it. I'm always used to it. Okay. But now you're married, things have changed. Leave it behind. You have a beautiful life. And that's why we're saying we're separating, not joining. Because you have to separate some part of yourself and to join as one. So I think that was a beautiful pirush. Is that clear? Is there any questions?
Very beautiful.
Sorry?
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So that was a beautiful one. I think that's relevant always. So let's just summarize what we learned today. We learned about the Torah, that the Torah is endless, with thousands of pirushim on even one little word. How small are we? Like, the Ramban was like the egg of an ant compared to the multitude of the Galgal HaGadol, 170 times the size of the planet Earth. So what are we? We are minute. And how great is the Torah? There's so much depth to it, so many pirushim on one little word which you can't even imagine. So we want to study Torah. Let's come with the humility and understanding that it's divine knowledge, and really try to be mechaven to the truth. and bring proofs from the Psukim, from Marot, whatever we can. And B'ezras Hashem, we have Zochah to get that. Then we spoke about why man was created as one being together with a woman. Lo tov liot adam levado. So Shraga 5 said to us, which is quite rightly, is there's two pirushim. One is that referring only to Adam HaRishon for his own gava. They shouldn't be alone in the world. And one pirush is for future generations, for marriage. He's not supposed to be alone. It's not good for you, not good for your health. You're supposed to be married. That's a Jewish person, should be married. Why should he be married? So we said that to have an emotional connection, to have a bond, like the Nachash, that's what he wanted, that's what he was jealous of. He wanted that bond. More than just, there's an emotional and spiritual bond, you can't have that. Physically, a man needs a woman, he needs a Jewish woman. Physically, you can go with a non-Jewish woman, but there's no neshama. Where you connect with a neshama? You can't do that. Two animals, a bird can go with an elephant. Also, there's no connection emotionally and spiritually whether there is to be. Physically, a man can go with a man or with an animal. But that's not marriage. Marriage is only with a man and a woman and a Jewish one, where the neshamas join. That's the ultimate connection, the unity. And when there is unity, the Shekhinah is there, God is there. And that's why God wanted him to have it. And also for the goodness of man to give. When you're giving, you're like the Creator. When you're giving, you're loving, you're happy. That makes a marriage. And Rabbi Netanel Skypes said, a happy wife is a happy life. If you're keeping your wife happy all the time, have you slept enough, have you eaten enough? And there's many ways to give. And not only giving her financial support, but giving her emotional support, complimenting her, making her feel all the time that you're thinking about her. And that's the way to give 24/7. Always, even if you feel like you don't really want to give, even if you don't feel like it and you're tired, but even then, that's the time to give. And let's remember that's why it's like kashek kriyat yam suf. Like Gilad said, it always needs to be completely. You don't separate it. Water falls back. You have to hold it up the whole time. You have to work on your marriage. It's not just to get there and get married. That's it. Put the ring on, smash the cup. I'm married. No, you have to work on your marriage continuously. If you don't hold up the wall of water, it's going to flood in. You have to continuously work on it. But remember, you have to split.
So actually, it's connected to your beautiful Perush, which is that you need to hold the wall so that you keep the space, you keep your Aviv and Timo aside or bachut.
Exactly, you're supposed to leave it. Yeah, Aviv and doesn't literally mean your parents, but it means anything from your background which is stopping you from the marriage, leave it behind.
I haven't suggested not to invite your parents, every so often, but
no, you should invite. I'm not saying not to invite your parents. Invite your parents and invite them and invite her parents. Okay. But also, you should keep a little bit of a distance and then make your wife feel the center, not your mom the center. But continuously feel that. And if we realize that we have to separate from ourselves, it's not separate from our parents. It means separate from ourselves. From the part of us that we hold on to our parents that we need to let go of, or other things from our childhood and from our youth in order to join to our marriage. And that's the secret to marriage, the secret of the creation of marriage. And really the secret of creation of man. And once we got that more clear in our heads, we can live our lives more fulfilled and more happier, and become better people. So I hope you all enjoyed this year, and I wish you all Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining me.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. Chazak u'baruch. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much. Good night.